remember we were about to go out on stage the one day, and the guy, our label manager, came to us and he had a magazine in his hand, and he said, "Guys, you want the good news or the bad news?" And we said, "Give us the bad news." And we were just about to go on stage at a big show. There was like 10, 12,000 people outside.
Welcome back to the Living Banter Podcast. We're going to get straight into it because we have a great guest, so get ready. He is an amazing, amazing singer, incredible songwriter, making waves for over 20 years as one of South Africa's most successful rock acts. This man is iconic, the lead singer of Prime Circle. It's Ross Learmonth. How you doing, man?
Hey, good guys. Good and you, man.
We're doing good.
Awesome,
We're doing
awesome.
good. So I'm going to kick this off with the first question. So you guys are set to play the Ticket Pro Dome on the 28th of February at 4 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, 4 p.m.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
I read in the Instagram post that was kind of the place that launched your career. Could you give us a little bit more detail as to why that is?
Yeah. So we'd been signed. It took us years. We were driving back and forth to Joburg and finally got signed by a record label, and we recorded a song called Hello. And it took another year and a half for them to actually playlist the song. And eventually the song went on radio and it became really big. But like one of the hardest parts for as any musician in this world is to associate yourself with a song. If people know the band name, then they know your name of the band, it goes to that song.
Yeah.
So we hadn't made that jump yet. So we performed on the Birds of Prey tour with Live. The label got us the gig and we opened up for Live, and suddenly people went, "Oh, that's the song." And it was we saw the crowd suddenly change in our favor. It was amazing. Suddenly you just see everyone start smiling and they started singing along. And that was the moment that changed our lives, you know?
Nice. I can imagine.
so
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Yeah. It must have been definitely, yeah, for sure.
There was still footage. There was still footage of that show that we wanted to get because everyone just, everyone got on the shoulders and took their shirts off. It was quite an amazing moment.
Amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine that being like
That's when you know the feeling's real.
Yeah, it's just,
That's
it's just,
living.
when the females start taking off their top, it's like, when the girls start taking off their top, you're like, okay, hold on. I'm pretty sure we're trying to film something here. Can you like
Pause.
chill out for like
Something
3
just happened,
seconds?
Yeah, it was fantastic. An ocean of breasts.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Yeah, I'm not... No comment. Plead the fifth. Yeah, let's move along from that.
Be the first.
Yeah.
So when you're writing your amazing songs, what's going through your mind? Like, what's your creative process with them?
We always try and make something that might last longer than a minute, you know? We try and think of something that these songs might, affect someone and have a moment with somebody. I think with us, we've always been more anthemic and like kind of be an anthemic kind of rock band, you know, because our thing is we want to play live more than anything. So we're a live touring band first and foremost. So we try and write music that we can, the people will want to sing along with and sort of have a moment with, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine.
You can definitely pick that up from your music.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that people can relate with. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking about live shows, you've obviously through your entire career shared the stage with a lot of people. Who have you been the most starstruck by if you've, met them at like a festival in Germany or across the world?
I think it was Brandon Boyd from Incubus.
Oh,
we played, it was one of the biggest shows of our lives. We played in Dubai in the middle of the desert. And I think we got the gig just because we were South African and they were making a show from all over the world. So they wanted to get bands from every country, which I still feel this gig should have had more South African metal bands. I'm a big fan of South African metal, and I think that the South African metal deserves a bigger break, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
So we got this gig with a lot of metal bands. It was like In Flames was there, and Iron Maiden was the headline, and Incubus was on the bill.
Wow.
And backstage, all the guys were fine. They were hanging out with Incubus and they were talking to them, and I just could not get the courage to speak to him. And my dad kept coming backstage and stealing all the beer and taking it out to the crowd. and just he was like the Robin Hood of alcohol, because my dad was
my
running
word.
backstage and speeding like 10s and 20s of beers
Yeah.
and
Oh,
running
my
out
word.
because beer in Dubai is so expensive, and he was just passing
Oh,
it out to the
jeepers.
crowd.
Damn.
That's
What a
crazy.
Hectic.
But I was
Yeah.
terrified to speak to Brandon Boy.
Oh, oh well.
Wow.
You know, at least you like were in the same vicinity as him, so it's nice to, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
meet your heroes.
I
if that
Any
touched
makes
his
space.
sense.
shoulder at the end to try and speak to him, but he was already walking away, and it was too late. My moment was
Oh.
gone.
Ah,
That is rough. That
we'll
is
come
real
again.
rough.
We'll come again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dang. So during these times of the pandemic, as we know, how have you guys adapted as a band, or you as a songwriter, as a singer? How have you gone through COVID? On what is your working space and your work? How does that change so far?
It's been pretty like everyone else, I think.
Mm.
It's like the moment sucked a lot of that kind of inspiration out of the air for a while. So I mean, I was expecting to take some time, to just go and be more creative, but I think I just took a lot of time off as well, just like not being a musician and trying not to be an artist for a while, and just not be in a band. So that was kind of cool for a little while, and then sort of like it sort of take longer and longer and longer. And I think the frustration of all of us is now building up. We tried to be creative with the online stuff like everyone else, and down to the point where we've thrown like some amazing like pyro at shows and try to throw a show that people would get the experience. And so this one and like this one now, Music in Empty Spaces, is sort of like an ode to the venue and an ode to a time when people could play music to people, and just something to try and like sort of make an income again. All of the crew and all of the guys, even behind the scenes, I think are really struggling, but at the same time you can see in their eyes the passion is still there. They're so grateful and so happy to be
awesome.
working a show again. So that's the cool thing.
Love that.
The online stuff.
Yeah. And I could definitely understand that, because I remember
Totally.
I was starting out like gigging. I played at this one place in, I think it was Observatory, and it was the first time I'd played one of my original songs live. And literally that was right before COVID. Like, I mean,
COVID,
I think it was a week or two after that the first case hit South Africa, and it was you know, it was absolutely crazy how
Crazy
everything just
time.
locked down. And I had plans to actually like properly get an album done, and now it's like, well, the album's coming out. It's just like, you know.
You and me both, mate. You and me
Yeah.
both. I was writing in Nashville in January. I was working with a lot of songwriters, and then I was like planning on this big release, and then I'd spent a lot of money on doing all this stuff, and then suddenly like the world ended. So that I mean that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. But anyways, kind of moving away from, you know, COVID and all that. So since you have such a lot of songs, like I think it's 7 studio albums, how do you put all that together and like make a set? And have you ever like gone back to the first album and like pulled something out that you're like, we haven't actually played this in like forever, let's give it a try?
Yeah, we're doing that at the moment. These kind of rehearsals are for that, but like it's weird. Like we're bringing out songs, and some of them are just it was so adolescent. I was such a youngster that like I laugh at some of the lyrics. Like I cannot believe that I wrote such songs. You know what I mean? And it's true. You got to write a lot of bad songs to get to the good ones, but we recorded a lot of bad ones as well. So it's kind of funny. Like I was actually laughing at it today about, like, we were busy with one of the songs, and I just turned to the band. I said, I can't believe how bad this is. And I refuse to play this song. So there's a few like that, and picking up some and then trying to reinvent some of them. And, you know, like it's a constant battle to try and be better and impress yourself, I think, because your taste always improves, and then your skill has to catch up. And I think that's the hardest part about music, is that's why you're constantly in that flux of it, with any creativity, even if it's art or anything, you constantly you're trying to catch up to your taste level, but your skill level is dragging behind. So it's a pain in that. So
you kind of do what you got to do to get the show moving along, I suppose.
To get it moving along. Yeah, but by doing that, we have handpicked a few songs and, you know, put the set list together. It gets tricky though. It does get tricky.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine.
For sure. But how have you, throughout the years, you've been playing music for quite a while now. How throughout the years have you kept the passion for it and the zeal to wanting to keep growing the band and growing your audience? What makes you want to do what you do?
I think it's in the beginning it was sort of like just that trying to impress people and like you're having something to prove a lot more, and then you sort of got to test that, and then like butt your head against a wall and sleep on the ground and all those kind of things, and take a play the shows and like get booed on stage sometimes, and then eventually we get to the place, and then when we started touring Europe again, we had to say, are we going to sleep on the floor again and get booed and go through all that again? So it's sort of like just constantly pushing a goal for yourself and the band and you know what I mean? There's that big dream that we all have, I think, and I think even the Rolling Stones are still chasing something down, like it's some goal, putting it in front of them.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned Incubus earlier, but who were some of your biggest inspirations as a band, way back in the day when you guys first formed?
I think we got signed based on the fact that Nickelback was pretty big. And like this is before everyone hated Nickelback, but it was like Nickelback and Creed were like the biggest bands, and I think our sound was like sort of like a lot like Creed. We were trying to be like Creed, and we were compared to Nickelback quite a lot, which was quite an annoying thing in the beginning of our careers. We try to. Bush was always the band that I was inspired by, and trying to push more to be more like Bush. Really loved that band, and I still do. I mean, their albums, I'm glad they're still bringing out stuff. So Bush was always the band we try to be like, and then but I would always change my mind as a singer, like, and it used to drive the band. It still drives the band crazy because 1 minute I'm a Spin Doctors fan, the next minute I'm like a black metal fan, and we got to change our whole style, and the next minute I'm into freaking opera. I don't know. I keep changing my mind.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because one of my biggest inspirations as a band, and only recently, after I've kind of finished the album cycle of actually writing and producing and all that of an album, did I actually start working on an EP where I'm like, okay, cool, I want to do something that's completely like not what I did on the first like album. And one of the biggest people that I've looked up to is Bring Me the Horizon because of all their electronic elements in like the more metal scene. So my question is, have you guys, because I know you guys have a keys player and you have a little bit of synthy elements here and there, but have you looked into like really intense stuff like them, or how is that coming along?
I mean, I love that. I love the fact that they've like broken genre. Like I think that's cool. Like that they do pop metal / like hard metal. Like they just do whatever comes to mind, and it seems to be working because it's pissing off people and it's making new fans, which is that's always a good balance. I mean we've experimented with a lot of different things, but we've never released it. Neil is quite expressive and stuff like that with the band, and I think those kind of songs maybe one day we should go a little bit more crazier. Maybe I think that's the thing is like we're always trying to find a new sound as well for ourselves. We've never tried to stick in one thing, even though we have a general kind of sound. But maybe we'll push it more. But I think Bring Me the Horizon is one of the bands that definitely has really, really mastered that blend, that mixing of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
I mean, why else would I look up to them if they hadn't,
good.
So you
must do a song with Dale. You'll do a song. Dale is really into that. And he's an amazing metal drummer as well. So go to the studio. He's just launched a studio. He built one during lockdown. So go and spend some time with Dale.
Is it in Joburg, right?
It is, yeah. It's just down the road.
I'll have to catch a flight. I'll have to catch a flight.
Come and do it. Spend a week with him. It'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because I also like learned how to I blew out my voice. Like I think it was maybe a month or so ago because I hadn't been screaming properly for a while, and then I got back into the loop of it, and then I'm like, okay, fine. I need to relearn how to do this, and I went through such a massive process, only to find out the only reason my previous screaming technique was hurting me so much is because I was compressing too much on my throat and not enough on my on my
Diaphragm.
diaphragm, and that's why I'd completely blown out my voice. It was ridiculous because I remember I did a cover of your guys' song, "Never Gonna Bring Us Down," and
Yeah.
like that was like my old screaming technique, and I was like, I
Yeah.
need to get back to that because I liked how I did the lows there, and I redid it, and you know, relearned how to scream essentially. And
Well, there you go.
yeah,
I've always
bouncing.
loved screaming.
Yeah. Have you ever tried it though?
I
Like
did
learned
it
how
on the
to?
end of a song called "Stay at Home." I've done a scream, but I'm not big. I've always loved it. I used to play in Witbank at a place called the Rock Cafe. It's gone now, but it was a great venue. And there was a band called Underbelly, and the guy, he's still around in the scene, but he had the best scream I've ever heard in my life. He didn't have a great singing voice, but when it came to screaming, it was just incredible. It was the best scream ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Damn.
Jeepers. Yeah, there's always like those underground guys who have something up their sleeve, you know?
Yeah,
100%.
loved it.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, I'm always curious to hear about this. How do you, as a singer-songwriter, or even as Prime Circle, how do you guys deal with negativity? Or when you get booed on stage, how do you come back from that, or how do you push past that?
It's hard, man. I remember we were about to go out on stage the one day, and the guy, label manager, came to us, and he had a magazine in his hand, and he said, "Guys, you want the good news or the bad news?" And we said, "Give us the bad news." He said, "You've got a very bad review. This guy's written the worst shit about you." And I said, "Oh, what's the good news then?" And he said, "Well, that means that you're getting bad reviews. You know, people are listening to you, and there's people are getting opinions, so you're not going to please everybody." But it was a freaking bad. It was a bad review.
Yeah.
And we were just about to go on stage at a big show. There was like 10, 12,000 people outside. But it was kind of cool at the same time. You got to take it with its punches, as long as you can be a friend to yourself, I think. And it can be when you're in a creative space, it gets very hard to be your own friend. You know, because because you're constantly chasing your taste versus skill level. And I think that it's you got to just in the end, you got to love what you do and be able to stand in a room in your underpants and be able to not care. You know what I mean? I think especially in a South African culture, we worry too much about that. I think there should be a lot more of us in the creative world, throwing caution to the wind. Yeah. So I think, you know, bad reviews is never easy, man. And people saying it or whatever, but yeah, it's something we have to deal with. As you know, what if you're putting yourself out there, if it doesn't happen, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. And as a South African artist, what have you found with the biggest challenges in the music industry right now? Or not right now, I would say, but as your career has come along?
Finding venues, I think, and we're running out of them. I think now, especially, it's going to be harder for anyone, newer bands, like sort of to find venues. I think we're going to have to consistently be creative. And I mean, that's always been the case. To get into venues as a band initially is hard, but now to find them. So we're essentially going to have to build our own industry, pushing the online stuff more. You guys are doing it by doing podcasts like this and actually giving a shit about musicians in this country and giving people a platform. I think more of this. I think that's the thing that's needed is more of this kind of stuff and more interest. I think the country, the people need to show their interest more in music and go and try and find stuff and if not create. So I think the hardest part for us was that and also getting between that void between people knowing your music and knowing who you are. And it's very tricky.
So tricky.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting step because like a lot of people who are fans of the music are also fans of the people. So because I mean you basically like pour your soul into songs like every time you pick up a pen and paper to write one. So another like question kind of bouncing off that is, and this is one I've actually asked before, what was the most difficult album to write and what's the story behind it? Evidence. I think Evidence was the most difficult because we had a lot of we were being sued. We had there was a lot of in-house politics with the band because of
we'd been on the road. We were playing like 220 shows or something. We played 200 shows that year. And our manager and our agent at the time were phoning every day, and they were fighting with each other, and we were begging them to like please not like give us bad blood, but there was so much arguments going on, and we'd lost a lot of cash and just everything at that time. You know, it was just before we fired our manager as well, so there was so much. It was such like a balancing act, and then I think that's why Evidence has got a little bit more. There's a bit more aggression on that record as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can definitely feel that.
Yeah, there's always ballads on Prime Circle Records. I think the next one we're gonna bring out an album without any ballads. We're gonna make a law, like a rule. We'll just bring out a rock album or an electronic metal album. Who knows?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
That would be really.
Love that.
Yeah.
The world already ended. We can do what we want now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We run the show now.
We were on the show. It's fine. We're just living in a post-human survival horror. If you get that reference. But yeah. So another question I'm going to ask is, you said you listen to a lot of different things, but what's one of the weirdest things you've like listened to and actually been like, oh, maybe we should try something like this?
Like I've listened to some weird shit, like Richard Cheese. I don't know if you know him. He does all those like metal covers in like smoking jackets. Just listen to Richard Cheese. He does like a lot of covers of Smack My Bitch Up, and he does all those kind of things.
Dang.
But he does it in like a lounge singer kind of vibe. He's funny.
Great.
But yeah, there's also a band called The Start. They're like from Norway. And they're like, they're very weird. I really like them. To start with two A's. Very weird band, but fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, especially from Norway.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think they're from Norway or something like that. You know, they eat reindeer. They eat Bambi. And then,
What?
Some of that stuff. And then, like, I don't know, like go through some old vinyls and listen to some weird there. And like classic FM. There's some weird shit on there every now and then. You know? But I enjoy it.
Fair enough. Whatever tickles your fancy, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is.
And
it is what it is.
Yeah. Totally. And you've played all across the world. But where has been your favorite place that you have played so far, and why so?
I think Germany has been amazing based on the fact that we've played a lot of like castles and stuff like that, you know, like you play these old ruins. And we did a tour with Three Doors Down, and we played this thing called the Citadella, and it was a castle with a moat around it. And you had to go over a drawbridge, like full on drawbridge would drop, and then you could drive into the castle, and we played. It was like, and you could do these warm-ups. Like I was doing my like rehearsals and warming up my voice in the like the catacombs, you know what I mean? Like,
oh my word,
it was incredible. It was like just a crazy place, you know, like
it's phenomenal.
Like with so much history, so much history, and obviously London as well. I think playing Camden Town and playing those kind of like places with a lot of rock history, you know, where the Clash started and all those kind of bands. It's just amazing to be plugged into them, you know.
Yeah, jeepers.
Yeah.
I'm just
must be so amazing.
I just can't get over that drawbridge thing, because I'm thinking that would be a massive like PA nightmare, you know? Like it's a drawbridge, like surely at some point. Yes, surely at some point there's gonna be like someone just driving over with some bucky or something and just tilts down ever so slightly, you know? Like would there be anyone who would sue for like just getting a bump on their car or something? Like, jeez.
I know.
Yeah, and kind of switching like kind of off track, is what is one of the like dodgiest places you performed at?
We played Germany. There's this venue in Germany as well. Like we were on tour, but like they just filled up as many dates. So we got to like it was the outskirts of Germany, and there was like I think about 6 people showed up to the gig, and there was this guy like he was like really pissed off, like he was every time anyone took like something from backstage, like a cool drink or something, he was watching us like, you bastards, you know, because we didn't sell tickets and there was no one at the show, and we were like, he was like seeing us put cool drinks in our bags, you know, like bastards.
Oh my word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
that
like
was pretty dodgy.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know you're doing better when you start to see less dicks drawn on the walls backstage.
Oh
Then
yeah.
you're getting into like bigger, more prolific venues. You know, you know you're
Yeah.
getting into like amphitheaters and bigger things. You know,
Yeah.
like when you're playing in like there was a place called the Hell Bar, and that's the one thing I do like about I love about Germany is that you can play with a folk band, a thrash metal band, a rock band, and they're all on the same night, and people are open to see every style. You know, like watch it. The guy
That's
with like
cool.
a dead mouse hanging from his nose as a nose ring kind of
Oh
thing.
my word.
Watching. No, that's not real. But I mean, just like really dark
I was like, wait a
people
minute.
watching Prime Circle. So you know, you never know what you're
Yeah.
gonna get.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Exactly. That
'Cause
is so true.
Yeah, because I when I performed at that place in did I say Woodstock? I think it was Observatory.
Woodstock.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Was it Woodstock? I can't remember. You weren't there,
It
right?
was Woodstock.
Was it Woodstock? Okay. I think one of the biggest things there was that, and this is kind of what I like about the area of like Woodstock and Observatory is there's just so many different places to play at there, and there's also like so many different types of people there that go there that are open to like
diverse.
different styles of music, you know?
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice that it's eclectic and people are like that. Like hippies are great people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shouldn't even
open
call
to a
them
lot of
hippies, you
things.
know? Like, I don't even know
Yeah,
what
my
they-
mom's a hippie. Like they'll listen to anything, you know. Like she's a closet like Eminem fan, and you know.
Oh my word.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Ross,
crazy.
thank you so much for joining. I just wanted to
Thank
ask
you.
as we wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Any advice that you'd give to aspiring singers or songwriters? What did you say to them?
Don't do it.
Just don't give
I'm
up.
joking.
Yeah.
Listen, I think if it's a calling to you and it's something that you know, it's something that you need to do and it's something, you know, try and do it for the right reasons. Like I think if you know you want to say something and try and create something, try not to sort of just try not do something just for the sake of doing it. You know, try and create something beautiful and worthy. And if there is any contracts that you get, make sure that you pay the money to get a lawyer to look at it properly, because we got seen, you know, we really got handed to us a few times. And I think that it's also like try and cherish it, you know, like those gigs and lying on the floor is actually the stuff that I remember more than the fancy restaurants and fancy hotels, you know. So it's just enjoy it, you know, and just try and create really cool stuff, you know, and read the contracts with a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah. Make sure that.
Yeah.
And I think last thing I say as well, and again, this goes out to everybody, but I think as South African musicians, but everyone in the world, like you got to believe in yourself sooner. I think it's always like we always say, maybe I'll get better and then I'll like, you know what I mean? Just believe in yourself sooner and just get it done, because the time is quick, man.
Yeah.
You know? But the world's ended anyway, so we can do what we want. So let's go for it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's our time
There it
to shine.
is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great last words. Ross, thank you so much for joining us. To our
Thank you,
audience
Ken.
out there, go. Yeah, it's been so good. Go check out Ross's socials. Go send him some love. Got some good things in the pipeline. Check it out and support him. And just like and subscribe to the channel. Send a review. Rate us 5 stars. Thank you so much once again for watching. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Peace out.
Peace.
Cheers, man.